Hello everybody and welcome to Green Star Trading with me Tom. All views, opinions and ideas expressed in this video are my own and do not constitute financial or trading advice in any way. Right, we're coming at you with an altcoin video today and we're going to be looking at Ethereum. We're going to spend a few minutes looking at Tron since it's making an interesting price move as I speak, and we're just going to round off with a couple of minutes updating the Shib chart, just because we only threw out a very rough count last week, or maybe the week before. I think it may have been. But either way, let's start with Ethereum. We're going to go through our Elliott wave counts. We've got a primary count, we've got our bearish count, we've got an alternate bullish count that I want to introduce as well. We did the same with Bitcoin with the Uber Bull count, which is a possibility, and therefore we should consider an extremely bullish option for Ethereum as well. But we're going to stick with our primary count to begin the video. So let me just start by removing that count just so I can simplify it for you before we dig into the details. So in essence, we're saying primary 3, so a circle 3, into primary 4, so a circle 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minor waves into a bracketed 1, so intermediate degree, A, B, C, bracketed 2, intermediate degree, and now we're off in a 3. And we'll shortly break the all-time highs. Speaking of which, Bitcoin is extremely close to doing that as I speak. It may even happen during this video. What is interesting, what I would point out though, is as I said months ago now, you can go back and find the videos on my channel when we were in the depths of the correction. I was suggesting that you had essentially two classes of altcoins which were following Bitcoin. A group of them which were an entire wave degree behind. We discussed those, like we talked about XRP, we talked about Tron, we talked about a few others. I think it was like Neo, Dash, whatever. Which are an entire wave degree, similar setup, almost identical, but an entire wave degree behind Bitcoin. And then I spoke about how Ethereum and Litecoin, were the examples I was using at the time, were lagging Bitcoin, but we're a step behind in the same wave degree rather than an entire wave degree behind. And I think we can still see this trend playing out currently. So for example, this high here of our 1 and our 2 at intermediate degree, this is already gone in terms of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's taken this out. Ethereum has yet to do it. So we're lagging. The same's true in Litecoin at the moment. So Bitcoin's leading the way. Ethereum and some of the older larger cap altcoins are right on its heels, but slightly behind. And then there's a whole group of altcoins which have become an entire wave degree behind, which are nowhere near previous all-time highs, let alone having gone on to set huge new all-time highs. So, and I'm not referring to the 64k equivalent in Bitcoin, I mean like the 20k equivalent in Bitcoin, that they're still languishing below the 2018 highs or 17 highs. So in that sense, they're an entire wave degree behind. They're yet to play out their wave 3, whereas Bitcoin may well have already done that and is now moving up into its wave 5. These are the options I discussed months ago. I think that is still essentially playing out, and only time's going to tell on that one. So let's bring up the primary count here and have a quick look through what's going on the shorter term. I'm just going to take the chart off of log for a moment and back into linear and auto it. Bring in the count. So like I said, we've had this impulsive move off of the low in what appears to be 5 waves into a wave 1. Nice 3-wave pullback. We've yet to take out and challenge these highs, but I think we will do shortly. So if we just come down to the hourly time frame for a moment, auto the chart. Now this is the more recent price action. I don't trade these small time frames. As a rule, I'm not interested in being caught up in amongst all this volatility. What I want to do, what I aim to do, is to catch these, is to establish these larger moves where we get a big 3-wave swing and a reaction, entry, stop, and then just ride this out at a higher wave degree and not let all of this short-term back and forth interrupt my conviction that I've caught a major pivot. Catch a major pivot, stick with it. That would be the trading approach. As time's gone by, and I've been in the market since 2015, and this crypto space has been very good to me. Not as good as it could have been if I'd had more confidence in my bullish convictions, but it's a crazy market and things move extremely fast. There's only one group of people who've always been right the whole time, and that's the hodlers. And I've become more of a hodler over the last few years because they are right. It doesn't matter how ridiculous the claim appears to be. When Bitcoin was below, I remember when it was below a grand back in 2015. I remember it breaking a grand, and for the second time on its way back up after the bear market back then, before the run up in 2017. And I remember people discussing 5 grand, 10 grand, and being dismissed out of hand for being insane. The idea of 20 grand was pie in the sky, moon boy lunacy. Well, it came, it went, and the hodlers were right. The idea of getting back to those 20 grand highs, I was confident at that point, having seen what I considered to be a major pivot, already a practitioner of Elliott wave by then obviously, that we were going to come back and there was going to be an accumulation opportunity, and I did the best I could to take advantage of that accumulation opportunity during the 2018 lows. Since then we came up to 64k and we're about to break it again. Alright, so they're just right. That's it. And there's always going to be detractors, of course, and say, nope, it's a bubble, it's going to pop any moment. Well, people have been saying that for 10 years, and whether it's $100, $1,000, $20,000, $64,000, or $250,000, the hodlers are just right over and over again, and accumulating on the lows should be, I think, if you are of a bullish, and this is if you are of that bullish mindset. If you are not, and you're convinced it's going to crash any moment, then obviously this isn't for you. But if you are of that bullish mindset, you will be rewarded, and have been rewarded consistently for accumulating those lows. Now, if you're a trader and you enjoy trading it and you're successful trading it over a short time frame, that's great. I personally, as a trader, prefer to catch the larger pivots and then just let things ride. I don't like getting caught up in all the minutiae detail, because I think the likelihood of us being precise with the count on these kind of time frames is unlikely. It's only when we get these larger moves that we can go 1, 2, and then eventually way up here we'll be able to say 3, 4, and so on and so forth, and we can trade a wave degree over a larger period of time. Anyway, I digress. Let's come into the detail here for a little while. So at the moment I've got completed minute wave 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a zigzag into a flat, into minute 3, 4 with no overlap of the 1, WXY here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into minor 1 and minor 2. So I'm not convinced that this is correct. Like I said, over the shorter time frame this is a little tricky. Now the reason is the price here seems corrective to me for the moment. This move here looks corrective. What I mean by that is we seem to have a free wave move here, and then we seem to have a free wave move here. So part of me is now expecting, I don't think we can call this a flat actually. I think this would have to be a WXY, which at a minor degree is no problem, as we're not contradicting any expected alternation because we've moved up a wave degree. So it could be, this could be a 1, and then we could be building up a diagonal in another 1, and then we could get a 2, and then we could race off higher. Okay, that's a possibility, but for the moment this looks like a free wave swing, this looks like a free wave swing, so maybe another free wave swing down to the bottom of the channel. Now that could be alternate 3 at minute degree, which we've got labelled here. We could have to shift this up to here, and then this gives us the 4, and then we'll get a run up probably above new highs, and that will give us the 1 at the minor degree, and then we can correct much more deeply, breaking this trend into a 2, and then we can get moving again. Now this is just speculation. The long-term trend appears to be up. I am still bullish and will remain so until I see a reversal of conditions which goes against that view. I'm still going to be bullish. I believe that this big free wave pivot here is the exact same pivot we're observing in Bitcoin, and therefore these highs will break, and they'll break soon. It may be a few days, it may be a few hours, but I believe this high will break, and that will lead to new highs. Okay, so that's the short-term count. I can't really, like I said, I'm not obsessing over the short-term count at the moment. Current price data looks a little corrective, like a free wave swing, looking for perhaps another free wave swing. So ABC, ABC, ABC. the adjoining pattern might not, doesn't seem to be taking the form of a zigzag. It seems to be taking the form of an adjoining flat. So zigzag, flat, zigzag. So a double combination perhaps. But either way, it's not particularly clear at the moment. So that's the short-term view of the bullish case. So let's now turn that off and consider the bearish case for a moment. Now, this is the same count I had on Bitcoin. Haven't had the chance to update it or change it around since doing so because the Bitcoin bearish equivalent was invalidated. I believe this will be invalidated any day now, any hour or day now, but for the moment it is still technically a possibility. We can't put the two here, it would have to now be over here. So this would have to be some kind of completed 5-wave degree or to here. So we could either have a 5-wave move in here and then a 3-wave move to here for the 2, and then this would now be 1, 2, and we'd break down in a big way, and this would all be wrong and everything's going to collapse. Okay, I don't think that's likely. It's far more likely that I think this was the pivot here, and we're about to take out this high, and this count is incorrect, but it is still for the moment still valid. Now we could position the 1 down here if you can get yourself down here in 5 waves. This to me looks like 3 waves all day though. I don't see 5 waves here. I think you'd have to go here, big expanding flat pattern with 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you'd have to go 1 and then, you know, A, B, C, and then so this would be the 1 complete here. This would then become the A. This would then become the B of a larger degree, and then we'd have 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a C. Okay, so like that, A, B, C into a 2, and then a big flush down in a 3. That's the only alternative I see for this count, for this primary bearish count, which was invalidated in Bitcoin. I don't think it's very bloody likely now. I think it's far more likely that these highs will get taken out. Okay, if I'm wrong and we do have a sudden breakdown through here, okay, then these lows are what we have to watch. If these lows break, as I said in previous videos, if these lows break, I'm no longer bullish. I'm bearish at that point because this is an incomplete corrective structure and it will have a significant flush down in order to complete a larger corrective structure which began back in April for Bitcoin, of course. So that's basically the bearish idea for Ethereum. I don't really think there's any point in entertaining an alternative at the moment. I've seen some people for months now desperate to entertain a triangle for both corrections. I'm not in any way dismissing you or saying that you shouldn't do that. That's fine. I've hated it from the word go, to be absolutely honest. Hate's too strong a word. I disliked it from the word go and never approved of the idea of it being a triangle, and I think now with Bitcoin pretty much at the highs, it would be kind of silly to still be insisting on it. I've never liked the idea, and if the all-time highs break, it's impossible. And I think that's what we're going to do. So I don't think it was a triangle. Never have thought it was a triangle. Always thought it was a bit of a stretch, to be honest. Now, that's we'll talk about an alternate bearish scenario in an expanding pattern, which we've mentioned in Bitcoin, the 90% retracement or new highs. We'll talk about that in the Bitcoin video. There's no point talking about it yet in Ethereum because we've yet to even take out this high or have the prospect of setting a new all-time high, but with Bitcoin very close to doing it, we'll talk about it in Bitcoin's update. Alright then, so now that we've covered our primary count, bullish count, and we've covered the bearish count that we had, which looks like it's about to be invalidated, we'll now move on to an extremely bullish interpretation. Okay, I'm going to leave that on. Take off this count, and actually, you know what, before we do, there was a pitchfork I've recently put on. Is this it? Okay, so this is, I wanted to share this earlier actually. This helps support the idea that we've got this 1 ABC into a 2. We've maintained this pitchfork up to the 50, back to the outbound, up to the 50, not quite to the outbound, up to the 50 and above, not, and see we're getting further away from the outer bound each time, and we're stepping a little higher, below the 50, to the 50, above the 50. We're stepping a little higher each time we go up. So what we've done by creating this 1, 2 here and 1, 2 here is we've left a big chunk of room to get to the top of the pitchfork. Plenty of room to get to a 3. A 3 would be convincing here at the median line, you know, at 5,000 or so, but we could push all the way to the top of it, okay, and then pull back in the 4, so on and so forth. So the fact that we've been building up this initial wave slowly before we take out this high and make new all-time highs, I find that quite reassuring as well, because it leaves a lot of room to run in this new pivot, this 1-2 pivot. So all right, we've covered that. Let's turn that off, and now let's have a look at this alternate idea. So we're going to zoom out to the weekly time frame here, auto the chart. Now, because I did a deep dive on Ethereum, which I haven't done on all the crypto assets, I do one monthly for my patrons. If we do put on our normal count, you know, it's just very busy, very, very busy. So I've got a super simplified idea, which is just this. Okay, and we're going to have to shift into log to make this work. So here's a really bullish interpretation, super bullish interpretation. Please ignore all of these numbers up here. Okay, these have not been placed based on any projections. I will not make those projections until I see a larger wave degree complete, and then I can start to get behind the idea that we're in some kind of incredibly bullish count. The same would therefore be true in Bitcoin, but I haven't seen evidence of that yet, hence why I'm still sticking with the primary count. But just to entertain the notion, since we've introduced one in Bitcoin, there's the possibility that we had cycle wave degree completion at cycle wave 1 back in 2018. Start of 2018, end of 2017. Everything since has been a run up in a gigantic extension of what will be a cycle wave 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shift. Like I said, ignore. I don't want you focusing on the numbers and running away with the idea that I'm putting actual, you know, projected numbers out there. I'm not. I have done with Bitcoin, and I will do for Ethereum, but we need to see more evidence over the long term to support it. So the idea is that we've gone 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's the same idea as we expressed in Bitcoin, and now we're going to go 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to cycle degree out over the next decade or half decade, or God knows how long it will take. So that's like an uber bullish scenario. Now, the thing which makes me lean slightly, I'm not saying over my primary, but allows me to consider this, is the depth and speed of these corrections, suggesting that they're not of the same wave degree. So what do I mean by that? This is big, right? This is smaller. This is smaller still. And this is smaller still. So easier to see waves of lesser degree, subwaves building, rather than assuming it's the same wave degree. So for example, this is our wave 2 correction. So we're in our primary count saying that this is a wave 4. This still seems small to me for a wave 4 to be complete. Now, there are bearish alternatives like the expanding flat we spoke about in Bitcoin, where we could go down, come up to new highs, come down again. Then this looks bigger, and therefore probably the same wave degree. But if we press on to new highs, don't show any sign of reversal, and continue to be bullish over the end of this year, this last quarter, continue to push higher and get beyond any of those expansive targets for a wave B in a flat pattern, then I think the idea that this is a 1-2 of a smaller degree, and this is a 1-2 of a larger degree, and this is a 1-2 of a larger degree, all of that starts to gain more and more evidence. But I'm not going to back it until we see those potentially expansive B wave targets up here, because we could go A, B, C. We will have a bunch of targets here we'll discuss on the Bitcoin video. We'll add them to Ethereum once we breach this one here, and go on push on to new highs. We'll talk about it. But if they get taken out to the point where they're no longer feasible expansive wave B targets, and we continue to impulse higher, then this actually becomes more likely the correct count. Believe it or not, that actually probability wise actually becomes more likely. But that's a long way to go yet, guys, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. So let's leave Ethereum there for the moment. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about it. I expect the recent swing high to get taken out. I then expect the all-time highs to get taken out. On the short term, digging through the minutiae count, we may have a little bit of correcting to do for a day or so, but generally things are still looking bullish. The only thing, before I leave Ethereum, the only thing that I can point to which gives me some cause for concern is the volume. Now, it's early days. Okay, if we've completed a wave degree here of a smaller wave degree of a 1-2, then it's still early days before breaking out in what's going to be the free belonging to this cycle wave, and what is going to be now the free belonging to the primary degree. So perhaps all of this run up into this peak here we will cool off, and then we will start another run up now as we build up momentum. But for the meantime, if we're working on the primary count of this being 3-4, this declining volume is a little concerning, because we've had increasing volume during this impulse, okay, and we had increasing volume during this impulse, but we haven't so far with this move here. We haven't had increasing volume, we've had decreasing volume. This is the only thing which points to the idea that we'll cover in Bitcoin video, that this could be an A, this could be a B, this could be a C, and then volume it will increase and we'll pick up into that next level. That would catch everybody out, I think, because we're all getting so bullish at the moment, myself included. I'm not blind to my own biases, I'm aware of them, but I'm also aware that we have to consider alternatives. So that's Ethereum. I've been chatting for 20 minutes, so let's just wrap things up quickly with a quick look at Tron and a quick look at Shib. So we're going to spend no more than 5 minutes here. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the pitchfork I wanted to consider. Have I put it up? I'm not sure if I have. So assuming that we put in a minor pivot, not intermediate like we have in Bitcoin or in Ethereum, because we're looking at a whole wave degree behind. This is true of XRP, XLM, there's several that this is true of. Okay, I've discussed them before in a previous video. So we've got previous highs here that we haven't gotten to yet at intermediate degree. This is the 1-2 of the 3 rather than the 1-2 of the 5 that we're talking about in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and so on and so forth. So this is an entire wave degree behind. This is therefore 1-2 of minor degree inside of the intermediate 3 inside of the primary 3. Okay, so like I said, an entire wave degree behind now. What's interesting here over the shorter term is that we've just broken this downward corrective channel, literally in the last couple of hours. Oops, a daisy. Let's move that back and lock this in place so I don't do that again. So we've got this pitchfork holding off of this 3-wave pivot with a diagonal in the C. We came back to 50% retracement, okay, pretty much, and now we've bounced into what could be a 5-wave structure into another pivot, 1-2, and now we've broken this downward trend where we can see we've had, you know, initial resistance around here, here, and here, and here, and now we've popped above it. Okay, so this looks kind of bullish for the moment, and for as long as the outside of this pitchfork holds and these lows hold, as I've suggested to all the lows prior to breaking this pivot, as I did in Ethereum, as I did in Bitcoin, I'm going to remain bullish. So not much gain so far from these lows, but as long as they hold and we keep market structure, now that we've broken this downward trend, I think we could have a run here, and I think we could break up into what I'm thinking is a minute 3. So this is minute 1, this is minute 2, this is now minuet 1, minuet 2, we'll come up in minuet 3, minuet 4, minuet 5, into minute 3, minute 4, and then 5 probably heading for the top of the pitchfork to put in that minor 3. Then we have a minor 4 correction, and then thrust up in minor 5 to complete the larger degree. Okay, now that could still be a ways off. Because here's the intermediate 1. So I've flip-flopped on this just like I have with XRP. Let's see how this third wave develops. If it breaks up now and continues to accelerate, we'll see how this wave 3 develops. It's got a hell of a target to reach to complete 5 waves at a higher degree to match to fit in with intermediate 1 and 2. See what I'm saying? To get an intermediate 3. So what I may end up having to do is downgrading this entire wave degree. So this would become minute, this would become minuet, this would become sub-minuet. Now that would be extremely bullish, but it may be necessary considering the length of this free as it develops. So that's essentially Tron. Still bullish for as long as these lows hold. The fact that we've just had a break of this downward channel is a bullish sign. The fact that we can dig out an impulse in here into a larger pivot is a bullish sign, but we need to see follow through and to push higher. And if this is the high we've taken out in Bitcoin, and this is the high we're very close to taking out in Ethereum, I would expect to see it taken out across the market. So wherever that pivot exists, I would expect to see the same occur. Okay. So that's Tron. I don't think there's now else to talk about really at the moment. We'll see how this develops as it goes forward. And let's have a quick look at Shib, our favourite little puppy. This is the entry point I bragged about. I don't care if you think I'm being arrogant. I'm going to brag about it again. It's back here, and it was just a stroke of luck. And it was a stroke of luck. Anybody who says otherwise in the crypto space is being a bit of a liar, being a bit disingenuous. Yes, I use technical analysis. Yes, I try to find bigger pivots, but let's be honest. If you get into a little pivot here thinking, oh yeah, this looks like an impulse wave, and then you get a 300+% move, that wasn't planned. You didn't call that. That was luck. Okay, you figured it was going to go up, but you didn't figure it was going to go up 300-something%. So, come on. Be reasonable. What I find interesting about this is we are wasting a significant amount of time to try and build up what I proposed was a wave 4. Now, unfortunately, because of the skew in the chart, we're not even getting much sense of it in log scale here either. But if this was intermediate degree here, okay, and we did this for, what's that, like 4 days. Okay, this is on the 2-hour chart. Then we've been in this for significantly longer. Okay, we've been in this for 13 days. So this is not a particularly reassuring, what's the word, correction in terms of its scale. It doesn't relate very well with this initial wave. But it's impossible really, unless we get a return to trend. It's very difficult to get anything looking right here. I think this is an original pitchfork. This is just such a huge move that we can't really do anything. I think the only move you can make really for the moment, if we would just drag this out, come down here, is if we just build a base channel for these lows. So let's just do that now and see if we get any kind of sense going forward. So what we're going to do is bring it to the peak of the 1, and we're going to set up a base channel here for support for a wave 4. Okay, now as you can see, this thing's a mile. Oops, excuse me. Let's move that back. That's my alert that I didn't want to lose, in case it comes back down. So as you can see, this base channel's miles away. It's just absolutely miles away. We've retraced through the 38.2 almost to the 50, retraced back to the 38.2, retraced back to the 38.2. It's resembling a triangle. Okay, now when I first saw it, my thought was, let's just turn off this damn magnet. My thought was A, B, C, zigzag, come back to the base channel, back into the golden ratio area, and then bounce. But we haven't really done that. Okay, now there is still the option that this could be 1, 2. So 1 here, 2 here. This could be 1, 2. 1 here, 2 here. If that's the case, we will break this upward trend, and we will come down in a 3, 4, 5, and we'll return to the greater trend. Big sell-off, and then come up. Alright, in which case, this would be incorrect. So this would not be a 3 and a 4. This would be a completed wave degree. 1, 2, probably this 3, 4 here at minor degree is the corresponding 3, 4, and this would be 5, but at an intermediate degree, and then this would be 1, and then we're working on a 2. Okay, then we'll get a huge move higher. But for the meantime, I'm going to say, given the skew in the market, given the fact that multiple 100% moves in a matter of hours are possible, we're going to have to live with the possibility that this is a disproportionate 4 to a small 2, because that's just the way things are in these ridiculously low, smally priced, highly volatile assets. So see if this upward trend breaks. If this low gets taken out, the triangle as it's counted currently is incorrect. If this low gets taken out, the triangle is completely incorrect and cannot possibly be right. At which point, if these lows get taken out with a thrust down low, we will continue lower than the initial move down because we'll be looking for parity. So if this is 100, if this is move here, we'd expect this move to equal 100% of it. So we'd end up lower. So keep your eye on these lows here, these lows here, and this upward trend. If any of that breaks in an impulsive move lower, then I think Shib will be coming back significantly lower, at which point we can come back and relabel this 1 and then look for a 2, in which case this is a pivot you do not want to miss. Whatever this ends up being, if this is a 2, 4, you're a little late to the party, but look at it like this. If you are a little late to the party, we get 4 into 5 into 1 into 2. Okay? So it's never too late to get that deeper pivot once we have moves like this. We will have massive retracements as well. So whether we get the 2 here, whether we get the 2 later, just be on your guard and look for those lows to get taken out and that rising trend to get taken out, because this is one of those ones where there's enough, what's the word, speculative fervor in the mind of the person who's buying the asset, right, to believe that I can buy a lot of this cheaply, and therefore if this were to go to 1 cent I would make X. Now it seems absolutely mind-boggling from a point of view of like traditional investment philosophy and strategy, but that is very much the sentiment I think that's dominating the crypto space, especially in these teeny tiny altcoins. And if enough people believe it, it will become true. Alright, so just it's worth taking a punt in it, I think. Alright then guys, that's I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining me on this technical analysis of a few altcoins. I will timestamp the different altcoins in the description below that we covered. And yeah, if you're new to the channel and you like what you've seen, please subscribe, smash the like, hit the little bell notification icon to remain informed of future video releases. And as always, thank you very much to my Patreon supporters. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you're interested in joining the Patreon, we're getting significantly past the halfway point of the month now. We're into the last 10 days or so. So if you want to get maximum value, it's better to sign up on the first of a new month, or perhaps even the second, to avoid that time difference I mentioned in the description, where some people can sign up for what they think is the first of the month and then get charged because it was actually the last day of the month from Patreon's point of view. But from the second of each month onwards, you get an entire month's value, and you'll only get charged again at the first of the following month. If you sign up now, you'll get charged the moment you sign up and the first of the next month. So the closer we get to the end of the month, the less value you're getting. Alright, that's just my opinion, and I don't want anyone to feel sour about these things, so I'm trying to help you and save you that possibility of a double charge. But either way, take care guys, all the best. I'll be back with you shortly. Bye bye.